Welcome, it's Yuriyah. We are about to get into the intro of human design, discovering your anointing. This is like going to be a general video that I create for anybody that is interested in getting a reading or is getting a reading and is just being introduced into human design so that they can know what the system is, know what it's all about, know how it can help transform their life and make them better. So, a little bit before we get into what human design is, I'm going to tell you my journey with human design and how this system has transformed me. Um, Ultimately, it's been very transformative. The first time I ever got a reading, um, by a friend of mine, I literally bawled, crying, got on the little human design app, put my information in, and it read me up and down. And I was like, how can this thing know me so well? What? Like, and it spoke to me in a way that was like so healing, um, to my whole being. It allowed me to finally like accept who I was. It made me see the truth of who I was in a way that brought so much clarity ultimately to my whole like outlook on life, especially because I was already involved in the way, which is um, the quote unquote religious path of Christ. Christ walked the way. He is a follower of the way. And that is what I believe what Christ came to teach us was to find our way and find the way. And uh, intro to human design. Human design is that, everybody's a human. We all humans, but we all got different designs. We all got different ways of being. And that's at the core of this system. And that's kind of the same teachings that Christ came to teach us, right? And a lot of the religious and spiritual leaders of the past came to teach us. Um, and I discovered that when I was in a very dark place, lost sight of my path, not knowing what my position was in life and where I fit into the grand scheme of things. And while I was in that dark space of like not knowing where I fit into everything, human design came to bring that clarity for me and put me in the position and accepting like to a certain extent, I wasn't really meant to fit in. I didn't have the energy to fit in, and human design kind of bought that. It may have justified my delusions, I guess, of like, oh, why of my trauma of why I didn't fit in for so long. Human design kind of bought that clarity for me, but it was much deeper than that. Of course, when you understand chakras and understanding like the spiritual components of it, and life force energy and like my experience with life force energy and my experience with like my desires and my needs, my wants, and all those things. And human design relates all to that. It kind of teaches you the pattern or shares with you and shows you a mirror of the patterning of your life. And because it's the pattern of it's the flow of your life force, the tree of life, which is your nervous system or the energetic biofield system and how those things correlate, which is also your anointing, um, which is the Christ flow. The anointing is the power of the divine. The power of the divine is the power to create life. Um, we are co-creators in that endeavor. Um, and human design shows us what we were designed to create in our being, like naturally, what comes to us, um, so that we can understand how we're supposed to make decisions, how we're supposed to manifest. Also, like what environments are best suited for us, which environments are not. Um, Also, like where you can make money. Because, yeah, we want to make money, right? Human design teaches you those channels by which people will naturally come to you to be serviced spiritually. And it can be converted into materiality too, but it's the inner workings of our subconscious and our conscious mind, um, the natural intelligence that we have, the natural flow within us, which I might as well just go ahead and get into the presentation here a little bit. I just made a couple slides, not too much for you guys. But just to reiterate and keep me on track of what information I want to share with you guys. But yes, that's what human design is all about. It's a system, helps you make better decisions. It comes from, it was channeled by a guy named Ra Uru. Um, and it's been helpful for me mostly after, like I said, I was walking the path of the way and discovering the tree of life. So that's how I came into this path, from being initiated into certain spiritual practices um, during some periods of time where I was trying to really understand my mind, really understand like certain medical conditions that I was diagnosed with. And trying to get to the bottom of it with the awareness of like that whatever obstacles I'm given in life, I was given it for a reason, and there's a reason why I'm meant to like overcome those things and what lessons that come with that process of overcoming those things. Um, so human design, I felt it was definitely a big part of that, and discovering the tree of life, discovering um, my chakras, understanding the energy flow, and then also understanding like different systems, whether it's the Kabbalah versus the Kathara. If you're you may or may not be familiar, but if you're not, go research that. But in terms of like how we're taught about chakras, different philosophical frameworks um, that shape our understanding of our spiritual journey. And there was a lot of things that I decoded, that I was beginning to decode, and when human design came in, it was like perfect time to just be like, oh, oh, okay, oh, that's why, oh, like it just made so much sense for me. So, anyway, we're gonna get into it. So, like I said, human design is about understanding the natural flow. Is really the natural flow of intelligence, of divine intelligence through you, the different aspects of consciousness that you have access to and that you came here to access. Um, so so I'll just read this little excerpt. Our energy field gives us access to different bandwidths of awareness based off of our design. And we can use that knowledge to gain understanding surrounding the way these currents of awareness flows through our life ultimately, right? So once you know that, okay, these are different aspects of our natural intelligence, different aspects of our awareness, it's different paths, remember the way, right? Different paths that we walk through life, and different paths that we have been conditioned through our past lives to naturally walk. Um, so I'm gonna get into, I'm gonna get a little distracted a little here, but I want to show you guys some things that's kind of like a prerequisite to getting into the charting. And this has to do, this is from my book, Circles of Creation, which kind of sparked through this journey too. But what do I want to show you guys? So we have channels of energy that flow through us. And these different channels, the currents, right, are different channels of awareness. That's what chakras are. If we are taught that chakras are these spiraling worlds of light, right? And that's kind of what the reference of my book is all about. Because as I work to balance my chakras and work to balance my energy, I created this book to help me in that process of balancing my own chakras, and also putting little nodes of information and little seeds of knowledge and wisdom that I learned along that journey for other people to balance their chakras also. Right? So the colors, everything in this book is correlates to that, but I don't want to go too much into my book. Buy my book, though, if you want to learn more. But I like to use it as a tool for learning, right, and to illustrate certain things That's really why I made the book, to illustrate that those ruling pools of light that live throughout, that are in our body, that energy flows in and out of, are is really just channels of electromagnetic energy, and neutrinos is what we're taught or what's used in human design. The concept of neutrinos, which is getting into quantum physics. Ultimately, it's the particles that make up reality. Everything, imagine that, we got pixels on the screen, right? The little small pixel, one little light bulb lights up, and then you got 1,000 pixels. We have the same thing in reality, pretty much, and those pixels of reality is the neutrinos. That is the quantum manifested reality, and that's really where channels of divine intellect flow through, right? Is where consciousness comes into beingness, where consciousness comes into existence, where your awareness can experience itself as an individual human. I hope all that makes sense. But ultimately, I didn't even mean to have that person's charting up like that, but that's who this reading was sparked for, um, and all this information is for. But ultimately, as we learn about our design and accept how we flow, and we make space for how others flow, we can begin to experience the fullness of what life has to offer through ease, right? So once you understand how your consciousness flows and you get in alignment with that flow, you can be the fullness of who you are, and your aura can expand, it can rest, and you can transform the world, and you can transform yourself, right? And you step into a fifth dimensional awareness, of yourself, and you can live in your purpose fully. That's ultimately what this information is about. It's really powerful. It's meant to heal the world. Like, I truly believe human design, for me, my position and my purpose is related to this, and helping humanity to understand everyone's position. Once we all understand our positioning, then the world, all the problems in the world, in my mind, I feel like will fix themselves, because everybody be beefing, everybody, because they don't understand their positioning. They don't understand the light that is them, and how they're supposed to shine, and how we live in an infinite universe with infinite possibilities and infinite manifestation capacity and resources, right? That is us, right? So moving on. So we're gonna get into a little bit about the different types of different energy types, because this is the intro to human design, right? So there's 5 really major org types, right? That's how we base human design, is based off that's the knowing your type is fundamental. Pretty much, that's the foundation, is knowing your type and knowing the types. Um, it's the biggest categories of energy, how energy flows through humanity, and the different types of energy that flows through humanity. Hence why I bought this circle up, which is the different aura types. So we got generators, we got manifesting generators, we got manifestors, we got projectors, and we got reflectors. So ultimately, this is telling us how the energy flows through the aura, or like the main positioning that somebody, energetic disposition that they have, right? So manifestors have a closed and repelling aura, or we'll start with generators. They have an open and enveloping aura. So it's open, it's expansive, it pulls in energy, and they're pushing out energy constantly. They're open, and they're pushing it out, and they're taking it in. They're like, dude, they're like open and enveloped. They hug. It's like a big hug, like of aura. That's how the aura is, right? It's a circle. They have a defined sacral chakra. So generators, manifesting generators, they have defined sacral chakras. The sacral chakra, if we look here, is related to the second dimension. Now, this is getting this may get too deep too quick, but I'm just showing you, but how my book correlates to the human design, and then how the human design and how these things can teach you about yourself, right? So it's the sacral chakra, defined sacral, second dimension. I am what I have. Animal, sex, food, money, narcissism. These are the energies of, that's what frequencies dominate that dimension. It's really the dimension. If we go to here, let's go to another circle page. Real quick here, circles of light, which is also like the tree of life. Um, you can see the sacral is also is connected to eternal life and the soil, angel soil. These are angels, so that dominate this and guard this energy center. So eternal life has to do with like stillness, presence, eternal, infinity, the oneness of time, space, um, and it also has to do with duality, right? The infinity sign, um, going to the masculine and the feminine dance within creation, space and time, right? So, which is also like sexual energy, manifestation, creation, right? Infinite, eternal creation, living on forever, which is again, if we go back to the like second the dimensions, um, it's those needs: sex, food, money, narcissism. Speaking of needs, I'm gonna go down here real quick. Ooh, I went too far. This book has a lot. I want to go to the circles of the circle of needs real quick, which is where's my circle of needs? There it is. Okay, circle of needs. So these are the needs of health, protection, security, and wealth. Right, safety needs. Um, which is that again, living forever. That desire to have security and live forever. Um, it also relates to regeneration a little bit, a lot bit actually. Um, That's why generators, manifesting generators, have that consistent access to generate and create things within the third dimensional matrix. That's why they have energy on that second, that's the second dimension. And we go to the third dimension, manifesting generators, they have that energy to create on those dimensions, right? And we can also see that when we look at the different aura types, right? Manifesting generators, they got that sacral defined down there. So they help create energy, help create things in the physical reality, right? Then we have, I'm not gonna spend too much time on this, but I be wanting to, again, it's the intro, go through each one of these types so that we can really understand like that everybody not here to be doing the same stuff. Not everybody here to work the same way. We can't force other people to work a certain type of way or to do the certain type of work that we deem them to do because everybody is not designed to do that, right? And that's where, like, for me, I'm a projector. That's where we come in. People like me and the person I was doing this reading for and created this video for originally, we're projectors. We have a focused and absorbing aura, which means our aura is meant to focus on something, absorb it, and we focus. We're really in a system called quantum human design. We're called orchestrators. So we're meant to orchestrate things, right? While we got generators, manifested generators, the time bender, the one who like actually you make stuff happen. Projectors are here to help guide. We're not necessarily ones on will be like boots on the ground all the time. Projectors are up in the etheric dimensions, and we can kind of see that when we look at the aura type again on the circle of aura types. They're up there energetically. We don't have a defined sacral chakra, so we don't have that consistent life force energy coming from the sacral in the body. It's based off of transits, and it's based off of the people that we are around that illuminate us to have that energy. Some people may feel as though like the projector aura can be kind of intense. Like I said, the same thing about the reflector and manifestor too a little bit, but the aura can be kind of intense because not only because most of the populace doesn't have it. If we look at this charting here, we can see the percentages. Most of societies, generators. Then we have manifesting generators, projectors, manifestors and reflectors at the smallest amount, right? We're all here playing a different role in the orchestra of life. And when you don't know your type, when you're not in alignment, you end up getting out of your role, and you can damage yourself ultimately. Once we understand our anointing and how we flow, where our power is coming from, and how our power flows through us, then we can stand in the fullness of that power and naturally embody our best self ultimately, right? So, because and be in peace, be at satisfaction, success, experience the surprises of life, versus being angry, frustrated, bitter, and disappointed. Right? Nobody wants to be in those frequencies, which is the energy you embody when you're not being yourself. When you're not in your energy type, you end up experiencing these energies. But when you're living in your type and you're respecting your aura and the rules of your aura, which is the your strategy, your authority, understanding your authority, then that's the secret key, right? So first we started on a foundation of knowing your type. Then we understood like what's the different types, right, and what it really means, right? Reflector. We didn't touch on manifesting reflector because they're the smallest amounts, but I'll quickly go into it. Um, Manifestor will start there because they're similar to because of the manifesting generator. Manifestors have a closed and repelling aura, so their aura is like because they don't. A lot of times they don't have sacral definition either, but they still have a lot of definition throughout the body. Um, so their aura is closed off, tends to be, and pushes things away, but it's because they have a lot of power to manifest um, materially almost, but also like they bring things into from inspiration. They bring things down into this reality. The person that created this, the Ra Uru, the guy who created the system, was a manifester. So he was pulling that. He channeled that. Right. So manifestors have that natural access to the divine like that. But because of that, their aura is like closed and repelling. Then we have reflectors. Um, I let me make sure I'm not losing my mind real quick, because a part of me feels like I may have switched that around. Let me do something. Let's check something real quick. Real quick, quick, quick. No, okay, we're good, we're good, we're good. Okay. I just wanted to verify because it almost looked like I switched something. But yeah, so then you got reflectors. They have like more of a sampling aura. I will almost say reflector auras kind of are closed off a little bit too because they don't have any. They all their chakras are open, right? So what this relates to is when you have a defined or undefined chakra. What that means, because I kind of skipped over this. This is foundational. But when you have a defined chakra, that means there's energy flowing constantly, consistently through that channel. When you have an undefined chakra, that means the chakra is goes on and off based off of who's around and transits, planetary shifts, right? Because each chakra is a channel, it's like a doorway, a gate by which life force and light flows. Divine light flows through these parts of our body, right? Through each one of these chakras. That's what this circle is, a chakra like that. I've seen when I awoken and went through it like a personal enlightenment pretty much, after like living in this system and putting it to work, putting it to the test. I seen a big light, just a whirling pool of light, inside my own inner eye and my own inner vision, and it looked like the sun, similar to the sun. And I was like, oh, that's the sun. That's a chakra. The sun is a chakra. Like, and these are suns, chakras inside of our body, right? So you got suns that are always on. Then you got suns that are like almost like black holes, but they can reflect light too. So they expand and they reflect. So the open chakras, when light comes into it, or consciousness, when we say light, we're talking about consciousness, awareness, the mind. When light, consciousness, awareness, mind goes through one of the channels, if it's open, it will get magnified, or it will bounce off. It'll reflect back. It will magnify and reflect back. It's like a bounce off, and it was a magnet. It's like an open room. It's like an open. It's open. All right, so it's open. The energy comes in and it goes out, and it goes around, and it bounces up, and it expands. When it's closed and it's pushing energy, or it's defined. Closed is defined. Um, it's not really closed. That's not. We're not saying the chakra is closed off, but we're saying that it's defined, meaning the energy is sending direct from its own self awareness, right? So reflectors, they don't have any. They're all open. So their consciousness, they're almost like a. I hate to say it, but they're kind of like a black hole energetically. Not in a bad way, but in terms of they'll take in all of the light of the environment and they reflect it back, right? Because they have all those open centers. So they're like the ultimate beings for shadow work, almost. Like you're gonna face your shadow when you deal with a reflector. I feel like, which is similar to what projectors do too, because we have a lot of open centers. Now there's different types of projectors. Based off of the definition or authority, and where you have the definition at. Your authority is defined by your definition. Is determined, or shall I say, determined by your definition. So, manifesting generators with their sacral defined, they have a sacral authority. Me, I'm a mental projector, so I have a mental authority. You have the reflectors, they have a lunar authority because they don't have any open. All their centers are open, right? Is determined by your definition. All their centers are open. So the moon, actually, the planetary body, that becomes their authority. So understanding your authority will determine also what dimension of reality, when we understand all these other aspects of human design, and when it relates to the outer and inner world, it gives you access to different dimensions of reality, right? Consistently, based off of where you have definition. So as a mental projector, I have a defined third eye and a defined throat chakra. So it gives me access to these dimensions consistently. The dimension to create, being in the here and now, channeling. Dimension to be able to sit here and talk about all this information and mental projector activities. That's why people that are projectors, we tend to benefit more from this information than other people, because it's designed for people with our energy type almost, right? Because we're the guides. Manifestors and manifesting generators, the world is built for them. It's built by them. So they may not benefit as much from some of these newer information because they're already living in a world suited for them. Projectors, we are a newer energy type, so we have to kind of build a new world for ourselves. And that's kind of the position and role that I play as a mental projector, because I've struggled in this world. I've struggled in this life. I still struggle. Me doing this is part of me getting out of that struggle, and teaching this information and sharing it with the world, because it's not easy being a projector in this world. We don't always make it. Truly, we don't always make it, because we don't have that sacred definition. We don't have the consistent access to work in this society in the same way that other people are, and to work with our body and work a 9 to 5 and work long hours and do certain things in order to exist in this world. So sometimes I really human design. When I say human design has saved me, it saved me because it helped me understand that why I couldn't keep up with people, why people saw me the way they did, why they perceived me the way that they did, why certain things were happening in my life path. It was because of understanding my aura. My aura wasn't really designed immediately for the environment that I was born into, or at least the environment wasn't aware and didn't cultivate spaces for different energy types because they don't really acknowledge energy and things like that. Um, but because of humanity's evolution and the way things have come thus far, we have to know, and it's very important for the collective because more and more projectors and beings of other energy types are being born on the planet. And as the planets move and we step further into the Aquarian age, we're going to see more and more people with different energy types. And it's important that we accommodate those different energy types, else there may be backlash energetically because um, these things affect they can affect your life because it affects your life force and the decisions you make, right? And your position, especially when you begin to really stand in your authority and stand in your strategy, um, you'll start to glow. Truly, I believe that everybody has a glow, and when you're living in your type and you're living how you're supposed to live, you will begin to glow. You will begin to experience almost the supernatural. I don't want to say almost, I'll just say how it is. I don't want to downplay it. You will begin to experience the supernatural because this is the supernatural. It is what inspires the natural. What inspires the natural has to be beyond it, has to be super, right? So it is the supernatural. We're looking at what is the inner workings behind the natural world, behind our natural makeup. Um, so yeah, so understanding your authority, understanding your strategy is key and foundational and all of that. Once you understand your authority, then you understand your strategy, which is your way you're supposed to manifest and go throughout life and approach getting access to resources. Once you get in alignment with that, you will begin to see life work for you, and you won't be working for life. No one's meant to work for life. Life is already given. We're supposed to work with life and work in life and experience the joys of life through the work that we do. Right? We're not supposed to hate what we do. We're not supposed to hate the life that we live. That's killing yourself. That's not self love. As we step into the fifth dimension, we are supposed to be stepping into the fullness of that self love and that unification of all, and understanding that we all have a unique purpose and position and unique aura. Even though we do have this breakdown of different aura types, different understandings of authority, guess what? Nobody has the same exact design. No one human being on the planet, because no one person was born at the exact same time in the exact same place. You may have been born at the exact same place, but you weren't born at the exact same time. I don't care. No. Even if it's a few minutes apart, that could change your design. So, really, it's like 2 hours. But if it's in that window and it's spent, you're not going to have the same exact design. Nobody has the same design. So, um, yeah. Yeah. So, we're going to get into why the authority is important, the strategy, then we're going to end up finishing this up because this is kind of long. I'm like, oh my gosh, I heard the person gonna be able to stick through with this thing. I'm like, it's getting boring. We need to liven it up. Okay, back into it. Okay, so understanding your authority. So, like I said, the authority has to do with definition, and it's really how I like to say is how the divine communicates to you, and how you're supposed to make decisions. Once you understand your authority and then your strategy on top of that, it gives you access to infinite wisdom, infinite awareness, because you're learning how your intuition talks to you, pretty much. How the divine, how the all knowing that exists within you communicates to you. And once you understand how that works, and you can work with it to rebuild your whole entire world, right? Because a lot of the inspiration will come naturally once you get in alignment with your authority. whatever inspiration or desires or whatever, you'll naturally know exactly what you need to do once you know who you are. I love that. Once you know who you are, you know what you came here to do, you will naturally just do it. It's not going to be no question, no doubt, no thoughts. Thoughts is cool, but it won't. You won't have to think about it. Thoughts will be a part of it, but you won't have to think about it. That's what it means being in flow. So let's go. Understanding your authority, lunar, ego, will, self projector. Like I said, it's how the divine talks to you. Mental projector, splenic, sacral. So like if you got a sacral, your sacral defined like most people, right? You'll feel it literally in your body, like in your sacral chakra, like down there in your yoni, in your wand area, in your lower gut area, right? If you have like a self projected or like G center, you'll feel it like in the center. You'll feel it up here. Or if you have like a your mental projector, like I know I'm always consumed by my thoughts and having to work through thoughts. If you have like a your emotional projector, so you got like a solar plexus authority, you have to pay attention to your emotional waves and then also what it feels like in your solar plexus, right? So that's where you are getting your yes and no's. When you understand that, because it's really important to understand your authority, because you don't need to be listening to anybody else's authority. And you don't need to listen to energy coming from other channels that aren't where your authority is, meaning aren't where you actually live. So, for instance, I'm a mental projector. I'm not supposed to be listening to my sacral chakra. I'm not supposed to be listening to my wand. I'm not supposed to be making decisions from there. I'm supposed to be making decisions from here in the environment around me. If you are a sacral defined being, then you are supposed to be listening to that. Yes, you listen to what is it telling you to do? What is it? Because that's your authority, right? Some people, if you're an emotional projector, you shouldn't be listening to your head too much. You shouldn't be in your head too much because that is stuff coming from the environment. If it's not your authority, that's environmental stuff. That's not you. Which is weird though, because I'm a mental projector, right? So mental projectors, we're also not just like we have mental authority, but we're said to not have an authority, or we're not to have an authority, right? Um, and that can, if you not careful, may get you in trouble a little bit. But I don't have no authority. No one rules over me. No, just kidding. Maybe not really. but but on some real stuff, man, we it's because we make decisions kind of our path is kind of written out a little bit. I feel like as mental projectors, that's why I said that, because our authority is the environment. I feel like Saturn is my environment. Like my every the universe will take over my body. Like that's what it feels like. Literally, some days when I'm like living in my authority, I don't. Even though I'm experiencing mental, it's like everything is a doing. Like it's like oh, it's nothing. It'd be empty almost sometimes, but it'd be a good place though because it feel good. It's empty. It's like the piece of simple silence in my brain, and then yeah, anyway, moving on. I'm not gonna go too much into that because that's more for if somebody when I'm doing individual readings, I'll go into more into depth with that, along with the strategy too. But again, this is just the intro into human design, helping you understand like the different energy types, the different auras, how stuff works. This is how needs come into your life, how need fulfillment. That's all I was saying. I'm not supposed to listen to my sacral, right? I don't even have a consistent desire there, like everybody has different energy, like expressions. And based off of those expressions, that determines like their life patterns. It determines what they're acclimated to, what they can spend their time doing, what they have intelligence in doing, and yeah. So I think I'm gonna leave it here. This is a good little intro into human design. Um, there's a lot of background subject matter that is kind of vital in order to really understand the mechanisms behind human design. But I don't think that's always necessary for everybody. Sometimes that's just for people like me, right? Mental projectors that really it helps me understand my position and understand the world around me. And I hope it can help other people. But it's important that you do the work too, and you study other things, and you study the depths of your own awareness and your own gift, and follow your own authority, and discover what your strategy is, and really begin to live in that. Um, which is how, like, yeah, 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 yeah. I ain't gonna go. I don't want to do too much because I want to leave space for when individual readings, right? Because certain information is based off of your energy type and your profile and different things like that. And it could go on forever. This is like literally infinite wisdom. We could study the interworkings and the interconnections between all these different energy types and how they relate to the outer and inner worlds. And we can go in circles for infinity. So I'm gonna shut it down here. Appreciate you for watching. Thank y'all. We're gonna end it.